better not have no plans tonight.
Movie time and it's feeling right.
You're looking for a love that lasts. You'll find it at Romancing the Podcast. Ooh, ooh, baby, you had me at hello. Ooh, I love you.
I know.
Ooh, ooh, baby, you're the wind beneath my wings. Ooh, I'll have what she's having.
Oh, amber is the color of this movie.
Not really. It's the color of iron, which is like gray, greenish.
Is that what color amber is?
No, amber
is like a bright
caramel.
orange. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's what I
haven't
thought.
you seen Jurassic Park? Like crystallized in amber, dino DNA.
I do love that you moved your shoulders to each DNA. That was everything.
The last time I was at Universal Studios, they had a bunch of merch for the like dino DNA guy, and I was like, oh, what? And none of it came in my size. And I was really upset.
Would wear that. Even though he is just nerdier clippy, I like that one.
Yeah, we
He's
gotta start.
clippy, but circles. We did start. I'm recording. Like, I don't know what.
I think he means the episode.
Oh. Thank you for tuning into Romancing the Pod. You had us at hello. I'm Paige Wesley, and I'm all shoulders
I'm
today.
Yeah. I said my part.
Oh my God. Now you guys get to see what I edit out of the podcast, but what is really Mikey. And I'm Todd Schlosser, and this week, Mikey made us watch Dating Amber. So was this the first time you guys had seen this movie?
Yes.
Same. So, but Mikey, you picked it. Yeah, tell me why you picked it.
I watched the trailer on Amazon around when it came out, and I was like, oh, that actually looks pretty good. And then I saved it for the podcast. And so I had not seen it.
Even though it's not really a romance.
Yeah. I like that I'm slowly turning this into and coming of age movies can come into this podcast. There's romance around this movie. There's a lot of people romancing.
There's some people romancing around this movie.
Amber romances.
She actually starts dating somebody. Yeah, I mean, I would say that this is as romantic as Angus, so I'll allow it. Also, this movie's fucking amazing.
Yes.
So, like, I'll allow it anyway.
It's so good. I sobbed uncontrollably.
Yeah, I cried
same,
at the
honestly, Paige. This movie probably would fit more into like if we ever did a bromance type month where it's like two friends like falling into friendship.
Yes. It is much more of a falling into friendship movie. Yes.
Which I love about this so much.
They did love each other very, very much.
As friends. Yeah, 100%. Mm-hmm. I would never say that they did not. But yeah, it is definitely more of a coming of age film. But a coming of age film in an era of history that now has a number of film and TV shows about it. And I love.
Yeah, like Dairy Girls. Yeah.
Yes. I was all over
There's something about Ireland in that time period where I think everyone dresses like they live in Soviet Russia, and it really weirds me out.
I mean, they were going through the troubles at that point.
But also,
in
it's
history.
the 90s, and everyone dressed that. Like, that's how I was dressing in the 90s.
Not me, man. My parents dressed me with just neon bright ass colors all the time.
That was, I think, an American thing. America got very into neon in the 90s, and you know, like a lot of triangles and
Every mom in this movie dressed like those Russian nesting dolls.
The mom in this movie looked like my mom in the 90s. So
and that's why we call your mom Babushka.
Babushka.
But inside your mom is a nicer, smaller mom. And then inside that
my mom's already pretty nice and very
is a
small.
meaner, smaller mom. And then when you get to the end, it's just a mom you can hold in the palm of your hand.
They call those palms. You know what? Never mind. It doesn't work. It's too close. It doesn't work.
Yeah, no, this looked very 90s to me. Much like whenever I watch Dairy Girls and I see Michelle's crunchy curls, I'm like, oh, it was a dark time for us curly-haired ladies.
And for every main character in this movie.
Oh, yeah. Every main character in this movie. A lot of the main characters on Dairy Girls, too.
Yeah.
I don't know much about curly hair stuff, but I'm going to assume that was like a fucking banger for those people out there with curly hair.
Oh, yeah. No, all my curly-haired ladies out there are just like, yeah, we remember. Hair technology has come a long way. And we've all now learned that we can't wash our hair every day.
That is something that I used to do, but don't do anymore.
Oh, yeah. It's like a thing.
Yeah. So what did you guys think, Mikey? What did you think of the movie?
I really liked it.
Yeah.
The empathy. I mean, it's a lot. It's hard to watch. They do a really good job setting up the perspective of teen, gays and lesbians who have not come out in a way where you feel for these kids throughout the whole film, and then the end just made me like sob.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yes, so much.
I think it's really effective in the by getting your emotional buy-in on what they're going through. And it kind of starts off a little slow, and then like halfway you're like, oh, like these are just gut punches.
Oh yeah,
over,
I cried
over.
multiple times. Yeah, this movie I think does an amazing job, at least of showing sort of what I bet it was like, and probably was like for a lot of people I went to high school with, because I went to high school after this movie, obviously.
Probably
but
still like for a number of people out there.
Yeah, it's not great in a lot of places for LGBTQ plus youth. Like that's why Utah has one of the highest suicide rates. So like, I get it, but fuck, I really do think it does a good job of making you really feel for both your two main characters. And it feels like a very realistic portrayal of what that would be like. At least to me, who didn't go through that, but it looks that way.
But even in that, this movie is blisteringly funny. Which
Oh,
I
yeah,
do
that's why it's palatable.
That's one of my favorite. That's why it makes you cry so much. Because you're like, this is so funny. You love both of them and you just want them to make it. Like that's like her especially at a certain point, like you're rooting for her so hard.
Yeah.
Because she really is just like, no, fuck it. I am going to be myself. And you're just like, oh my God.
I know. Dude, when he tells
God.
her he's gay at the end, you just start crying and she's like, yeah, no shit, which is very funny. So you're like laughing and crying at the same time. And
for her to be like, take everything I've ever worked for because I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
I think if you stay here, you're going to die.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just like,
I know, man. It's so brutal.
For me, it's like the movie ends and on a black screen, you hear him exhale. And I was like, oh God, he can finally breathe.
Yeah. Paige, I'd have fucking lost it even more. And I was already crying at that point in the movie.
Oh, so much.
Fuck.
So much.
Yeah. I literally watched it and then just like came to record.
I could not have because I was heavily sobbing and then had to like go to sleep like
yeah, I'm trying to tell y'all how much time I have left through the tears of my eyes.
Yeah.
It's nice to watch a really good. It's gonna be hard to make a lot of jokes about it, but I mean, it's good to watch a really good film.
Yeah.
And I really like when people are kind to each other, and it's nice to see that.
Yeah, and everyone that is a main character in this movie and some side characters are very kind. Every high school kid that is not one of the main characters is an emotional terrorist. Like, they're insane.
But they are also so fucking funny.
I know.
Like, so
I know.
funny.
And Kev, like I would say the main quote unquote friend.
The main douchebag. Yeah.
Because he is in the friend group, but he's terrible. But he looks like a 17-year-old, 40-year-old used car salesman. And I couldn't help but laugh every time I saw him.
That's Ireland.
No, I looked at him and I was like, what's baby Ricky Gervais doing here? Like, that's what he looks like. My favorite thing he says in the entire movie is on their last day of school. And he's like, it's all under the bridge now. And she's just like, it was a week ago.
Yeah, he says, it's all in the past. And she goes, it was 2 weeks ago. And he responds like she said, you know what? It was a long time ago. I fully forgive you. But she did not say it. Because he was like, you know what? Yeah, absolutely. And like just walks away.
What's her name? Tracy. Tracy cracks me up because Tracy is
funniest character in the film, I think.
Well, I like Tracy and Tracy's best friend. Who will sleep with Kev, but won't let him tell anyone or let him touch her outside of that creepy trailer.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, girl, you rock that ponytail with those two hairs out in front.
Oh, yeah. She had like two downward horns around her face.
I absolutely used to do that in the 90s.
I mean, it was a thing. It definitely was a thing. Yeah.
It was definitely a thing, and it didn't look good on any of us because none of us were hairstylists that could add volume and stuff to the... We saw people do it in magazines, and we're like, yes, and then you do it on yourself, and it just makes makes you look very oily. And then Tracy with her, like she had a crimp setter or a beach waver or some sort of crimper and was maxing that out.
I did love that Amber was entrepreneurial.
Loved her. Everything about Amber is great.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Amber's like, do you even listen to Bikini Kill? And I was like, how did she get her hair green? Because like bleaching, was she allowed to? I wasn't when I had to wear uniforms in school.
But no one seems to care really. But I like that. I think it's a little bit of purple too. There's like green,
it's green and purple.
Yeah,
it's very cool. Her whole vibe is bookstore in San Francisco, and I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So when the movie first starts, I had some trouble hearing the accents, and I was like, "Oh no, is this far away again?" But then I kind of got right into it and understood what they were talking about. So
I love your commitment to not using subtitles, like as a bit.
Yeah, I didn't use subtitles, but I don't know why Mikey doesn't.
I didn't use subtitles either, but I've been watching Dairy Girls actually pretty recently, so I was like, oh, this actually feels like normal TV to me at this point. So
yeah. Although Shift, I had never heard that one.
Shift?
Because it's not one that they use in Dairy Girls. You want the shift?
Oh, yeah. I hadn't heard that one either. My favorite part of this movie, I think, is when he kisses his maths teacher.
Oh, my God.
Because the way that teacher
the door was
reacts,
open. I was here. You could escape.
It's the safest space.
The way the teacher reacts is so like clearly that was not ever his intention, nor did I ever really get that vibe. But
I felt like there were a couple parts in the movie where I was like, oh God, I hope that doesn't happen. And then when he kisses him and he reacts that way, I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Oh,
it is
thank
like
goodness.
the most wholesome way he could have reacted to that. And to me, that is so funny. I loved it. It was great.
My favorite part is when Amber and Sarah are having very much a meet cute moment on the stairs, and then someone has to walk up the stairs around them.
Yes, Paige. That is so funny, and it's like a quick, literal end of the scene joke. The scene is over.
It's a tiny physical comedy bit that just made me laugh.
I think the funniest part for me was the montage of the dad trying to show him army stuff.
Oh no, wait. How did I even forget the sex ed tape with the nuns?
Yeah.
Might be my favorite thing I've ever seen.
Her at the lectern doing the two pointer fingers together. And then the two closed hands together. And then doing it with the finger through the hole. I thought that was so funny.
My favorite was Jesus will moisten the vagina to prepare it. And then she's just got her hand on the pregnant belly and is just like, God bless us, everyone. And I was like, what is this?
Yeah, I honestly was today years old when I realized that Jesus was a fluffer.
Oh no! But that is what that tape implies.
That's not me saying it. That is
that's
Irish
not you saying
Catholic nuns, I would assume.
that's the nuns, and then in the tape, there's like a nun, like watching them do it, and just like yes,
she's like into it. Yeah.
Oh, it was wild.
But do you guys want to get into this movie so we can go through it scene by scene?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Let's do it.
So we open as the opening credits roll on news clips from the 90s from the UK, because this is set in 1995 in Ireland, 2 years before the decriminalization of LGBTQIA relationships, which the UK moved in some ways faster, but in different ways than the US did around the legalization of things like gay marriage and things like that, where the US still struggling. But in the UK, they kind of did it in stages where they like decriminalized and then, move forward. So this is right before the decriminalization. I think Dairy Girls is actually set a year or so after. I'm not 100%.
Okay.
But anyway, his dad comes back from the army, Eddie's dad, and we have just met Eddie, basically. We don't know who his name is or anything yet.
Yeah.
But we see him watching a clip on the TV of like their family as his dad has come back from the army. And the person on TV is like, so are you going to join the army? And he's like, yes. And we do overhear his mom and his dad fighting about it, because what we will find out is that his dad has basically put in for another tour, which means he's going to be gone for another 6 months. And his mom is like, hey, you've done the necessary time. This one was voluntary and I need you here. Like, I need your help. Like, I can't just have you constantly gone.
Yeah.
But they're talking about this as they're watching Eddie try to do a chin up outside to prepare for his cadet exam. And they're like, how many has he done? And he just says, almost one, which I can't. I've never been able to do a chin up. Anybody? Either of you?
Oh, yeah. I can do a few right now if you want me to. I have a gym in my garage.
That's true. You do have a gym in your garage. For me, it's also more of a like body size, torso, tit weight ratio kind of an issue where I'm just like, gravity's not on my side here. It's also why I couldn't get good at pole dancing. It's just a lot.
You know, you can just like do pole dancing shit on a chair though, right? Like
That would be chair dancing,
Right.
friend.
Anyway, he rides his bike to school with his brother, and his younger brother is also a pretty fun character in this movie.
Yeah, he's fun.
Because he is our entry into all of the gossip that's happening.
Yeah, I love that every time something like gossip worthy happens, his little brother's like, well, I heard it from this guy and everyone more or less.
And also
everyone
most
knows.
people.
Everyone knows. Yeah.
A lot of people did. Yeah. But as they're riding, they end up riding through like an army like firing range with live ammo.
Yeah, there's like a sign.
Oh,
Yes.
I laughed so hard.
I know, me too. Because two soldiers that were like standing by the sign and stopped his younger brother, like start
Right.
chasing after him because he's just like zoned out listening to his music on his bike ride to school, not noticing
Yes.
the war. Like it's like a live fire training exercise. So they're not like shooting at people, but they're still shooting.
Yeah, well, and he has the best confused face. The actor does.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful. I love a person with a great confused face.
Well, and then throughout the film, he has his big headphones on his big ears, and he doesn't hear anything, and it's like a whole running gag.
It's
Yeah.
real hilarious.
When he walks away from Amber the first time she, I think, is trying to ask him out, I laughed so hard because
Yeah.
she sits down and like starts to chat him up a little bit, and he does.
He just gets up and walks
Yeah,
away.
has no idea she was talking to him at all. It's so funny. Yeah.
At all. But he does arrive at school alive, and he walks into a conversation where we hear Kev, who's kind of the main bully, just go, like a sack of rotten strawberries down there. And then he just turns, we don't know anything else. He just turns to Amber, who is sitting off by herself, and just says, what's for lunch, Amber? Carpet? And she says, nah, your ma's getting shampooed. And
Such a good response.
it's the perfect response. And he just like doesn't know what to say to her. It's so fucking good.
Yeah.
But then he immediately diverts his attention to Eddie and basically is just like, so have you fucked anybody yet?
I know. Kev's the worst.
Are
man.
you gay?
he's the
What's going
worst.
on? Yeah, he is the worst.
Kev is the most obvious, like, not virgin, but he has that, like, please don't, like, look at me energy. So he's, like, attacking other people, you know? Like,
Yes.
it's so, I don't know. I think it's funny because I know a lot of people that were like that in high school.
Well, and he's just desperate.
Yeah.
Like that it's funny because like as an adult watching this now, I'm like, as a teen, that person was so scary because they could turn on you at any moment.
Yeah.
They would do anything to divert attention off of negative attention off of them.
Yeah.
You know, and like they absolutely would make fun of like he makes fun of Eddie in this moment. But as an adult, I'm like, you're such a sad, desperate pussy.
Yeah.
like no one else understands. I understand. You are lucky that one girl lets you touch her in this movie at some point.
I was honestly a little surprised by it.
I wasn't. I think that girl was just like, I'm getting mine and you can never talk to me in public.
Yeah.
Been there.
Kind of respected her for it in a way. But I think it's entirely possible that he's a virgin up until that moment and
Me
just
too.
won't tell people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's doing all of this like getting girls to talk to people, like messing with other people's love lives to divert attention off of that.
Yeah.
Anyway, he basically pressures Eddie to be like, so who do you like? like, which girl do you like?
Yeah, which girl are you trying to hook up with, more or less?
Yeah.
Teenagers are the worst, man. They're just
Yeah.
the worst kind of people.
Yeah.
Well, I would say our two main characters are not, and the rest of their school is.
Yeah. But I mean, when I was a teenager, everyone was pretty much like everyone else in this movie, not like our two main people.
Well,
I'm-
it's hard to say because people there's a level you conform for safety.
Yeah.
Oh,
So everyone
absolutely.
appeared similar. Well, I mean, we had cliques. We had like you were either a goth or like a jock. We had a very like I don't know, sort of 80s style clique.
We didn't have enough kids to have that many.
Oh,
We did.
So because it was only 65 people, and so it was.
What?
It was basically
Holy
So,
shit.
In my graduating class.
yeah. I graduated with 630, I think.
I graduated with
Yeah.
454. I remember the number. Yeah.
Yeah, no, my graduating class was 64 people because one got incarcerated before graduation. He was innocent, by the way, it turned out. But it was kind of like a handful of main people. Like, these people did all the stuff and were kind of popular, and these people didn't care. And that's basically the two cliques.
Yeah.
There weren't many overt bullies like this, at least not to me. Like, people didn't overtly bully me. I'm sure other people absolutely got bullied.
Yeah.
But I think it proves the rule in this case that a ton of people I went to high school with came out after. So, like, I think it's one of those things where we're like, our two main characters were not mean. They were great. And it's like, well, yeah, Paige, like a lot of the people you went to high school with are gay and we're just trying to get by.
Oh, yeah. I completely understood why they do what they do in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
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 Ours was more like you had like the dorks, the goths, all
The
the
Spazzos, the
yeah,
Weazoids, or whatever.
But
Ferris
within
Bueller.
those
Yeah.
cliques, because those cliques were still like 20 or 30 people each, probably,
Yeah,
if not
sure.
more. There was definitely conformity in norms within those different cliques. So everything like made sense, quote unquote. We definitely had a lot of people come out afterwards, like in college and stuff. But like,
Yeah. That's most people came out after, but also because it was still not socially accepted,
Right.
just in general at the time, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, Kev pulls Tracy over and is just like, or he like telephones through Tracy's friend to Tracy.
Dude, when Eddie like scans all the women and picks Tracy or whatever, like he's not picking her because he likes her and that's clear.
No.
Kev immediately kicks into douchebag mode and he's like, all right, let's see if you can follow through on this. And like walks
Yeah.
over there.
this seems like a Todd move. I got a lot of Todd energy from this.
Now, I was never this much of a bully because I have always been pretty small. So like I would have gotten my ass beat for sure.
I could picture you and I out in public and being like, who do you think's cute to you? And me say it, and then you immediately go talk to them.
I
mean,
can
at
see you
this
doing
point-
it now.
Oh, exactly. I'm talking about today, tonight. This could happen.
At this point, I absolutely would. I would walk over to them at the bar or whatever, where we are in this hypothetical situation, and just be like, "Hey, settle a bet for me," and then
Yeah.
just make up something, and then be like, "Hey, have you met my friend Mikey?"
Yeah, he's like, I would never do this. I'm not a bully. I would do this tonight. Now, if you saw
I
someone
would
you
do
like,
this
I would go.
today. Yes, absolutely.
I don't count it as bullying, but
I just want control of your apps.
Oh, that should be a Patreon perk.
I've got to work out more. I'm looking for rock hard apps.
If you're looking for rock hard apps, you got to go to Applebee's because they haven't made a solid app in 50 years.
All of them have cheese in them, and if there's like cheese or like grains, that you can't have it. No, sorry, that was an inside joke just for us about the worst Applebee's experience we've ever had. Anyway, he goes to Tracy, and Tracy's like, "All right," and then they go behind the school.
I did think it was pretty wild that like they had never really talked. I mean, I'm sure they knew who each other were.
They're not really friends.
And then
Yeah.
one of their mutual friends, quote unquote, goes, "Hey, would you fuck this guy?" And then she was like, "Sure, let's do this." Like,
No,
Yeah.
this snogging is not fucking. It's
yeah,
Oh,
no, they're,
that's
they're,
fair, that's
they're
fair,
just
that's fair.
kissing. They're making out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
definitely had a situation like this, and it was like at church where it was like,
of course it was.
church youth group taught me most of the basic skills I needed throughout life when it comes to women.
Mikey,
My
same.
church youth group was clickier than my high school ever was.
Oh, 100%. But like they'd be like, so and so thinks you're cute. Meet him over there, and it's like you end up kissing this girl by the playground, you know, away from everything going on, and you're like, okay, it was nice to talk to you for the first time.
I never had this experience. I'm kind of
oh.
glad.
I know what Mikey's saying. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, you're not a real friend unless you like snuck off to make out at Vacation Bible School because you were teaching a kindergarten class, and then like the girl who taught the second grade class was super cute.
Yeah, no, I've never experienced.
Yeah, I've never taught at Vacation Bible School.
No, I fully have, but I'd be the one that's like, "Where's Becky? I'm supposed to go on break." Like,
Yeah, why am I
I'd be the
covering
one-
mine and Becky's class? Mikey.
She's
There's
always up on the
always
fucking
multiple teachers.
playground.
Sorry, we were in the slide into second.
Well, and that's what Eddie won't do. That tips off his
Right.
friends that make him think
But
that he
also,
might be gay.
I've totally done what he did, and as a cis straight male of like, well, I'm kissing her, but like, I don't want to like touching a boob is like a big deal. You don't want to just go for it the first time you kiss somebody unless you're like
I
really
do love
feeling.
I do love that when he first kisses Amber, he leads with hand on boob. Like even before they touch lips, it's so funny to me.
Because he's just trying to learn what the norm is. Poor little baby.
I
But
know,
like,
it's so funny.
she is kissing him. Like he is
Oh,
like
yeah.
almost trying to get out of it. But I would say she literally grabs his hand to put it on the boob, and
Yes.
he's like,
he's like pulling it back.
like the claw in Liar Liar. He's like, no.
It's
I
like when
can't."
you try and push two magnets together
Magnets
that don't want to go
together.
together. He's like
Yes.
pulling that hard on her hand. It's so fucking funny.
Oh, so funny. But she says that he looks like a shit version of that guy from Blur, and he just goes, "Thank you." Which is
Yeah.
there is a later scene, and I think
It's
I
in the
wrote it
schoolyard.
down. You know what I'm talking about? Where two guys are just beating the shit out of each other, and they're like, "Blur, Oasis,
Well,
Blur,
so
Oasis."
that starts a few scenes earlier because one
Okay,
of them
okay,
asked the
yeah.
other, which is your favorite, Blur or
Oasis?
And of course I was like, this is the easiest fucking question ever. Of course it's Blur. What are we talking about? They're way better. Plus, that guy went on to do the Gorillas. Like that
That
dude's
is
way
true.
better than anyone in Oasis.
That is true. Well, it's so funny that people fight over those two, and I know that was a thing at the time. I watched a whole documentary about it.
Sure. Yeah.
But to me, I feel like they're two different kinds of music. And I'm like, I don't know why we compare these two.
They probably just because they're from similar regions, but
Yeah.
they are two different kinds of music. That's like,
Right,
what do
yeah.
you prefer, Maroon 5 or Coldplay?
Well, I would say Maroon 5 and Coldplay are much closer.
That's probably true too. Yeah,
I like both of them.
me too. But
For me, it's like, what do you prefer, Maroon 5 or Panic at the Disco?
oh fuck, Panic at the Disco all
Right?
day. Yeah, I mean,
Well, yeah, like you could argue the merits of either, but I'm like,
Sure.
those are two very different sounding bands.
yeah, one's super theatrical and I'm into it.
Yeah, like you've got super theatrical bisexual wonderfulness
Yeah.
on one side, and then you've got Adam Levine. And so like, what do you choose?
Yeah.
So anyway, the bell rings. They have to go to class. And of course, and he just says, "Thank you again for that." And leaves.
He doesn't just leave. He slowly walks away, and then a few steps into that walk away, he starts trotting, and then
Yeah, he's
full-on
just
runs
running
around
away.
the corner. Like he is running away from her in this experience. I
Yes.
thought that was so funny.
But we cut into class where so Amber gets an A, like the first thing we see in class. And then we very clearly see that Eddie has a crush on his teacher. Like the film telegraphs it so well that I was like, oh, I barely know this character's name, but I know that he has a crush on the teacher who is the weird priest in Derry Girls. And boy, am I excited to see him again.
And he does a great job in this movie, but Foley
He's
is
very
not
good in this
into Eddie.
No,
the teacher
not at
is-
all.
Yeah, he's just a
He's
math
just
teacher.
a teacher who's
Yeah.
trying to do his best.
We do find out in a panic on his part that he has a fiance, like he's engaged to a woman, but like
Yeah, that he is a straight person.
Yeah.
Well, okay, here's my question. Do you think he is really straight? Because again, this is 2 years before the decriminalization.
Yeah, I mean that might be. I honestly don't know, but he's not into Kev, and that's all I care
No,
about.
he's definitely he's
Like,
definitely not
yeah.
into Kev. He's not grooming Kev. But I did feel like there was a little bit of understanding
Yes,
there.
I
that,
definitely
that
agree.
did for
Yeah.
me think like, oh, maybe, I don't know. Because he does seem to fully understand and recognize that Eddie is being bullied in a very specific way.
Yeah, he might be in a beard situation, which is more or less what dating Amber is, for Eddie.
Right.
They're beards for each other. But he also might just have like a sibling that is gay and closeted or something like that, like that sort of thing. But I think he clues into what's happening so quickly and he diagnoses it so fast that it definitely is something that has touched his life in some way.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What happens next is mind blowing, and it happens multiple times in this movie. And I'm like, this was never something that would happen when I was in school. But it makes me laugh every time. Is that Kevin just in the middle of class is just like, why didn't you touch her boob?
Like, as the teacher is teaching, it's not like there's a lull. Like the teacher was like,
it's not like it's the end of class or something like. No, he just turns around to go to the blackboard for a second. He's like, why didn't you touch tit? Like, don't you like girls? And it's like, why is this conversation happening now? What is happening?
The teacher does shut it down pretty quickly. And then you hear Kev, as the teacher starts talking again, be like, he literally says, I love boobs. Like he just can't fathom why someone wouldn't want to touch a boob. And listen, I went to Pride yesterday, and I saw a lot of very gay men motorboat some very fake boobs.
Gay guys love boobs. This is a thing.
It is a thing.
I was very popular in my gay bar days because gay men love a good set of boobs.
I'm sure it's a spectrum. But yes, I have yet to meet a gay man that wasn't super into boobs.
I mean, here's the thing.
Get it. Same.
I've met more straight men less into boobs than I have gay men.
Yeah, honestly, though.
Same.
Anyway, we got to Amber going home to what we will find out is a trailer. And at first I was like, oh my God, is Amber a traveler? This is going to be amazing. Like, this is, yes, because I watched too much TLC back in the day and was fascinated by Irish traveler weddings because holy hell are those wild.
Shit, I forgot about that show. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah. I was like, are we going to get a giant dress with butterflies? No, we're not. She just happens to live in a trailer park or a caravan park or whatever they call it.
In the U.S., it would be called a trailer park. That is for sure. Yeah.
It'd be called a trailer park. Yep. And she's cleaning one of the trailers, and then we watch. A few minutes later, she looks back through the window of that trailer at another girl getting dressed after she and a guy have just finished having sex.
Yeah.
And they come out and pay her, comment that it's filthy. We know that it's not because we just saw her clean it.
Yeah.
They basically are like, here's your money, go. And we cut to her basically saying, I'm not a lesbian. And they're like, we didn't ask.
Yeah.
She's like, what? But she goes home and her mom sees the two of them, those two teens leaving, and asks Amber, like, what were they up to? And Amber's like, oh, I don't know. And her mom just goes, teen pregnancy waiting to happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's not wrong. I mean, they may have used protection. We don't know, but they were definitely having sex.
Yes. But this is where she's like, it's good that you're not one of those types of girls, and like your dad would be so proud, and like boys don't respect girls that spread their legs. But also, have you tried a little bit of lipstick? And she's like, make up your mind.
I love that response from Amber to her mom. She was like, make up your mind. Like, what do you want from me? Like, do you want me to have a boyfriend? Do you want me not to be a teen pregnant mom or whatever? Like, what is happening?
Yeah.
So funny.
But we do see that she is saving a ton of money. So we kind of have, we've identified her scheme at this point of like, provide a place for teens to have sex, make money. The better risky business idea.
I was going to say, I was like, she's doing what we thought Tom Cruise is going to do in Risky Business.
Right.
Before we realized that he was way worse.
Way worse. Yeah. I'm going to state. So she's saving money. She's looking at a picture of her dad. And we did hear her mom mention, do you want to take the day off school? Tomorrow's the anniversary, which means that we know that her dad died. We will find out later that her dad unfortunately died by suicide. And we don't get a ton of details other than how it has impacted Amber. But her overall philosophy tends to be her dad could not be who he needed to be in this place. And it is restrictive in whatever way that was for her father. But she sees that as imminently dangerous for her and Eddie.
Yeah.
I would say.
Are you saying that you think her dad may have been a gay man?
I thought about that. Yeah, I did think
Yeah.
about that. I wasn't 100%, but
Yeah, they don't confirm it, but I definitely do think he could have been based on the way it's written. You know, I think you can extrapolate that, but it's not confirmed.
yeah, I would say that's possible. And it is a thing that I thought about, and I thought they would confirm, and they did not.
Yeah.
I think you could also argue that her dad was just a person who wanted more in some vague sense.
Sure,
whatever
yeah.
that was, whatever it, be it that he was gay and could not be with the people he loved and was in a beard situation and it killed him,
Yeah.
possible. Or that he worked at a factory or something and had imagined himself something more or wanted to do other things and just couldn't.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, she views that as what killed him. So, but I did think about maybe he was closeted and maybe she knew.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
So we cut to Eddie's house. His parents are arguing again over his dad going away. And their argument seems to precipitate onto Eddie's upcoming physical fitness test, where it's like they're arguing about his dad going away, but it shows up as them arguing over whether or not Eddie should join the army.
Yeah. Because
And
fully he should not.
he fully should not.
Yeah.
He should not. And they asked, can you do your first chin up yet? And he's like, oh, yeah, absolutely. And he cannot.
Any day now, guys. Any day I'll be able
Pull-ups
to
are
do it.
hard,
Any day
man.
now. They're super hard.
They are. I honestly think it's sort of an unfair exercise, but only because, like, the leaner you are, it's way easier.
Oh, 100%.
You know? So, like, measuring your quote-unquote fitness level by how many chin-ups you can do, to me, is ridiculous.
Yeah, I love that I can go squat 450 pounds and they're like, do a pull-up.
Exactly.
And I'm like, "Ah!"
Yeah, yeah. I could squat all day long. I could do wall sits until everyone else's kneecaps break.
Yeah, but because I could do a chin-up, but I couldn't squat 450 pounds, Mikey. Like, that would kill me.
Yeah, I like being strong. I can do a couple pull-ups, but it's like I can't do as much as like our gym is like one of the cycles would be like do five pull-ups, and I'll be like 2
and a half. I'm really gonna try for that half.
Well, then I put the little rubber band and do band assisted.
Yeah, band assistance is helpful with chin-ups. Yeah.
Anyway, so as they're talking over dinner, a very contentious dinner, by the way, because
Yeah.
like he and his brother are eating food and his mom then like slams plates on the table for her and his dad.
It brought me back to childhood.
Yeah. It's very clear his parents are having, I would say, marital issues because he is gone all the time.
Yes.
You know?
And they do they have a conversation about it later, but
Yeah.
His little brother at this point is just like, hey, my brother didn't touch a tit today.
It's so funny.
Like-
He is like, he rats him out in what I think, as a little brother, is such a little brother way.
Oh,
Yes.
Because
yeah.
he says it like matter-of-factly, like he doesn't know it's going to get him in trouble, but like,
Yeah.
He knows.
Well, and then his parents are like, oh, okay. So like a girlfriend. Okay, great. And his dad's response is to say, oh, thank goodness we don't have to worry.
yeah.
And you're just like, oh no.
I know, it's such a brutal little thing. I mean, because it's not decriminalized yet, like that could mean that he's just worried about his son getting in legal trouble. He actually doesn't care if he comes out or not. You know, like he doesn't care
Right.
personally if his son is gay. You know, it's fine. But he's worried about him getting in trouble with the state, which is insane.
Right.
But you know, I get why that would be his reaction. Although if you were the kid hearing that, there's no way
Yes.
you would think it was
No.
anything other than my dad is never going to accept who I truly am. And that is
Yes.
brutal, even though like the dad may not have meant it that way. But
Well,
fuck.
and to be honest with you, in watching this movie, I could not 100% tell you that the dad would react one way or the other.
Me either.
Because he does have that moment with his dad later where his dad actually cries
Yeah.
in front of him, and and the dad's like, we couldn't show emotion and now we can, which
Yeah.
made me think like, okay, maybe his dad would come around and it wouldn't be a big deal. I think his mom would absolutely have supported him and
Oh,
been okay.
The mom all but says, baby, I know you're
I
gay.
know.
I love you no matter fucking what. And he just can't bring himself to say it to her.
Yes.
But I mean, his mom, I think, confirms that in this movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we cut to high school. He's sitting on the steps, like having a mini panic attack, trying to like psych himself up. And this is where she sits down beside him and he just gets up and walks away because it doesn't realize that she's talking to him.
Yes, yeah. I referenced that shot earlier because he is just like listening to his music and psyching himself up to go like properly ask Tiffany out on a date who he has no
Or
interest.
Tracy, yeah.
Tracy, sorry.
Yeah.
Who he has no interest in like sexually. He just needs to have everyone stop
cover.
picking on him. Yes,
Yeah,
a
he
cover.
just needs a cover. He's like, do you want to go to the cinema sometime? No? Okay, how about just coming over and meeting my parents? And she just goes, fuck off.
It's not her. Her friend leans
that's
over
right,
into
her
the
friend
shot and
does.
says,
Her
fuck off.
friend
And he handles it like, oh, I just got shot down. It's fine. It's cool. I'm just going to go walk. I'll be right back, guys. I'm just going to grab my bike and I'm going to ride my bike
But if
home.
someone, even today, quickly asked me to meet their family, I'd be like, fuck off.
Yeah. I guess it would depend on the context, but yeah, probably.
I mean, I definitely do think he is just like, okay, if she meets my family won't think I'm gay, you know?
Oh. Well, your heart just consistently breaks for this kid throughout
Yes.
the whole film.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah.
Because he's trying to play off like he knows he left the gas on at home and he has to go home. And then he's like, he is just like trying to cover by how hurt he is and how scared he is. Like,
Yes.
and he just like gets the fuck out of there as quickly as possible. And it's so like awkwardly super sad.
He does a great job of playing internally scared to death.
Yes.
Yes.
He's so good in this movie. I mean, and so is Amber. Amber's amazing. But like, he plays this character so fucking well.
Mm-hmm.
And he's in a few episodes of Normal People, which is another great show.
That show made me like just sob over and over.
I know,
again.
but
Yeah.
he's such a bad guy in that show. And it's just like the opposite of what he is in this. This dude is a great actor.
That's what
Yeah,
Irish
yeah.
actors do. The guy who played Ramsay from Game of Thrones,
Yes.
he was like that good. Yeah.
Fuck,
he
so
played a good
good.
guy in the last. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
Yeah.
Anyway, Normal People's amazing if you guys haven't seen it.
Anyway, so he gets on his bike and he literally just goes home.
Yes.
To the point where I think it's the end of the day, but like we weren't sure if it was the end of the day.
I
at
thought it
school
was the
'cause we
beginning
haven't-
of the
I
day.
thought it was
Yeah.
the beginning of the day too. I was
Same.
like, oh, that's hilarious. But so she basically chases him down and hits him with a rock.
Because he wouldn't stop. Yeah, because he was listening to music. We already know he does not pay attention when he's listening to music. So like she had to hit him.
Yeah, she had to. And she's just like, do you want to go out? Okay, let's go to the movies at 7.
Yeah.
And they go to the movies and everyone in the background is getting full hand jobs to completion.
You hear it in the
You
scene.
hear
At the
it.
very beginning, all you hear is like the movie audio and it's like a slow push in on our two main characters with people behind them. And then you're like,
Yeah.
oh wait, that dude's definitely getting jacked off right there behind them.
Yeah, and then the other dude up
Yeah.
behind them too. And then you realize it's literally everyone else in the
Yeah.
theater.
And then as it like pushes in more and more, you hear them hearing the people behind them fooling around. And they're like, oh, this is so gross.
He is hearing it and looking around, and she's just like popcorned up. Like she
Yeah.
does not care.
It's so funny.
Oh, I love her. Anyway, we cut to them at like a diner after, and she's just like, do you even understand the patriarchy? I listen to Bikini Kill. And I was like, this girl is fucking rad.
Have you even read, and I can't remember what author she says, but
I didn't write it down, but it was one that I was like, man, she's getting it deep.
yeah. And he's like, it's on my list, which I thought was like a nice way of blowing it off. But we actually
Yeah.
see him reading that book later.
Later on, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he tells her he's joining the army, and she's like, why the army? And he says, I believe the fire of war turns boys into men.
Oh.
And it's a family tradition. And it hasn't happened 2 times. So, like, it's not really a tradition. And she does bring this up.
Yeah, she does call him out on that. Yeah, because it does take, as we know, only 2 times to make something a tradition.
No, it's 2, and then the 3rd time's the tradition.
Either way.
Anyway, she looks to a table in the diner and hears 2 of their classmates whispering about them, so she holds his hand.
Yeah.
And as they're walking home, he talks to her about her dad, and this is where she does say, like, well, you didn't make him do it, or did you? Which is a very dark but very funny joke to me. It's someone who has gotten to the point where they can make gallows humor jokes about something very sad that happened to them, and he was not ready for it. He's like, of course I didn't do it. which was very funny.
Yeah.
But this was another thing that I was like, maybe file it under potential evidence for him being closeted. Like, you didn't make him do it, or did you?
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
anyway. But he leans in and tries to kiss her and touch her boobs, and she's like, what are you doing? You are a gay man. Please stop doing this. And he's like, I'm super gay for boobs. And I was like, everybody's gay for boobs. Like,
Everyone.
Yeah.
this is a universally accepted trait. Does your shirt say gay for boobs?
No, it says token straight friend, but it had the pride flag on it, so that's why I held it up, because I am also gay for boobs.
Yeah, of course. And she's like, you clearly have a raging hard-on for our teacher.
Yeah.
It is obvious, is what she was basically saying. And he's like, I'm not. And she's like, look, I am too, and I'm tired of being bullied. So let's pretend until we can just get out and go be in a different place where we wouldn't get bullied for this.
Yeah, like her plan is to move to London immediately upon graduation. Like she is already making that plan. So she's just thinking she needs cover until the day she leaves to go to London.
Right.
So she's like, hey, let's be each other's beard until we get the fuck out of here.
Yes, which, hey, if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do.
Oh,
I wish
hell
you
yeah.
didn't have to do it, but I respect
Same.
you if you choose it. That's
yeah,
fine.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Like if this movie had ended with them going to London together, I would have been
Would've
like,
loved.
hell yeah.
I wanted that for them. I hope he gets a place and then she joins him later.
Yeah.
And they open that anarchist bookstore with franchising potential. That's so funny.
It's such a good joke.
But he basically is like, I'm not, so no, and leaves. And she's like, fine, forget I said anything.
I mean, he never says or confirms that he's gay until like one of the last lines of this movie.
Yeah. But we cut to his room and he's surrounded by drawings of dicks and
An army man.
an army man, a piece of paper that just repeatedly says, I am not a F slur.
Yeah, which I'm sure he gets called all the time.
We see him get called it in the movie a couple times. Yeah.
This takes place before I was in high school, but that was common when I was in high school.
Yeah. But we cut to him at cadet training and he is in the back of the pack.
Yeah.
Like, he is not doing great. And then we cut to their sex ed class at school, which might be the single funniest thing I've seen
It's so
in
funny.
a month of Sundays. It's like a guide to lovemaking, and it's a very Catholic bride and groom with a nun watching them while drinking tea. And then direct quote, Jesus will now make the vagina slippery to accept the man's love, end quote.
Yeah,
That's how it works. That's how I was taught.
that's what Mikey believes.
The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spit.
Oh no. Oh, lightning, sir. Smote. You about to get smoked.
I think he'll be fine.
That's fair. That you are entitled to beliefs.
Wow, you guys don't like my 4th addition to the Trinity, which we have to rename to the Fourthinity?
Oh, I thought you were replacing the Holy Spirit with the Holy Spit. I was on board for that.
You can't replace it, Todd!
When you're doing the cross on your body, you just go lower.
The Spirit is everywhere. The spit is in specific locations.
Anyway, it moves on.
I'm going to leave that pause as is. Like, I'm not going to edit that pause down.
And the Holy Spit, the real holy water. Know what I'm saying?
Oh, God.
It's the holiest of waters.
No, God.
That's
no.
why it can be used for sexual purposes, but also your mom cleaned stuff with it.
Like off your face.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the video continues. You have an audience, and it's the nun like watching them while she stirs her tea.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to hand motions where it's like essentially 2 finger points, no. 2 fists, no. Yeah.
It is like gay sex, lesbian sex,
Yeah, P in the V.
sex.
Yeah.
And then that's the one where she gets like the Family Feud check mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Sorry. I just got like a wave of nausea. Okay.
Paige hates straight sex.
I hate boring sex.
Same girl.
It's sex like pizza, man. Even bad pizza, I'm like, hey, this pizza's pretty good.
Oh, yeah. I don't love boring sex. Would I have it now? Yes.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with pepperoni on it.
Oof.
So we cut to the next day at school or later that day at school, and he walks out onto the quad, and loud enough for everybody to hear, he turns to Amber and he just goes, "Amber, want the shift?" And everyone's like, gasp. And she just goes, "Yes, I do." And they go behind the school, and this is where he's like, "Okay, I'll be your pretend boyfriend because we're, and she's like, "Gay. I'm gay. We're gay." And he's like, stop saying it. We don't have to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point he's fully lying to himself about his sexual status, if you will.
Absolutely.
No, I don't think so. I think he can't even voice it. It's so scary. I think he's in this, he does this situation because he knows, but he cannot even put words to it.
Yeah. But we cut to them in class where he pulls their desks together so they can cuddle in class.
It's adorable.
It's very cute. And Kev gets in trouble because he's like, "Oh, I thought you were both benders." And you're just like, wow, in the middle of class. Like, what are we doing?
Oh, benders. I was like, they're not blenders. What does that mean?
No, benders.
Irish people, hard to understand. You know what I'm saying?
No,
I did not have any trouble. I did fine.
You guys speak English, quote unquote?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
They do. What I don't speak is whatever Tom Cruise was trying to speak in Far and Away. Land.
I mean, I don't think anyone's Irish accent in Far and Away was close to Irish in Far and Away.
Yeah, agreed. Anyway, the teacher sends Kev to the principal. He ends class and he pulls Eddie aside and he says, "Hey, if they're bullying you, you can talk to me."
Yeah.
And he kind of like pats his shoulder, which I think until we see what happens later, I read as like, oh no, is this going to get groomy? Oh no. And then once we see what happens later, we know that this was very innocent.
Yeah.
And it's just a misunderstanding.
Yeah, he really is just trying to be like a genuinely supportive teacher, I think, in this moment.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely could see why you might think it was groomy, but he's not doing that.
He's not doing that. But this is also one of those things that I was like, oh, maybe he is closeted as well, but we just don't know.
Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the groceries, prep work, and the cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door with over 35 meals to choose from per week, including options like keto, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more. Plus, over 55 weekly add-ons. You'll have tons of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Factor now offers like a load of snacks. In fact, we just got some of these like smoothies that were really great. They have a banana chocolate smoothie that like I drank way too much of. It was so good. And even better than that, when things get hectic, Factor's like flexible. So you can change up your order every week with plans from like 4 to like 18 meals per week. So you can like have a bunch of meals or just a few meals depending upon like how many times you need meals that week, right? So it's great. So head to factormeals.com/romancingthepod50 and use code romancingthepod50 to get 50% off. That's code romancingthepod50 at factormeals.com/romancingthepod50 to get 50% off.
Anyways, we cut to them walking home and they're trying to teach each other how to walk. Like her trying to teach him to walk more masculine, him telling her she should walk more feminine.
I love the way this starts because he is like, "Hey, could you be more feminine?" And she takes offense to that.
Yeah, understandably so.
And he's like, "You walk very mannishly." And she goes, "Oh, do you want me to walk more like you?" And I thought that was so funny.
Oh, yeah, she is brutal.
Yeah.
She's brutal. She's like, walk like you're repressing all your emotions and you have no joints.
Yeah.
But she does kind of take him to her caravan park, show him the like $2,000 that she has and tells him about her scheme with the horny teens and everything.
Yes.
And she's like, I'm going to London to start an anarchist bookshop with franchise potential, which is such a crazy sentence, but I love it.
It's like just like 1,000 copies of Steal This Book and making no sales. What are we doing?
And zines make so much money on zines.
I know, right?
I like how in the UK, Dublin is still like a small town. They're like, we have to go all the way to London. We have to leave the country to get to the big city.
Well, I think they had to leave the country because it was illegal in Ireland
It was
to be who they
criminalized
were. for
Ireland. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he invites her to dinner the next day, and his parents are like, a second girlfriend? He's like, yeah, she's going to be here in just a minute. And as he's like, it's Amber Keenan, they're like, didn't she find her dad? And they're like, don't talk about it at dinner. Like, don't worry about it. But she shows up in a dress that clearly, like, she has tried to be feminine in a way that she understands, but is not convincing at all.
I think it's so
Poor
funny
thing.
though. Yeah, because
Yes.
she is wearing a dress and she's wearing makeup, but it looks
Yes.
like it's very much the first time she's ever done either of those things.
She looks like Blossom. Our Calista explains it all.
Well, this is that time.
I was about to
I
say that
know.
is this time period, so maybe she's nailing it.
Yeah.
No, it's period appropriate. It just looks unnatural for her. Like, there is nothing technically wrong with what she is wearing other than it does not look like her.
Oh, like me in baseball caps.
I feel like you could pull off a baseball cap. I'm confused.
I have a picture of Mikey wearing the horror virgin hat that I have, and it's not a great photo of him.
No, okay, Mikey, I'm going to need you to get a baseball cap right now, and we're
Oh,
going to settle
yeah,
this on camera. Thank you.
You look like a 40-year-old man trying to like show up at his frat with like a bottle of
you just
Alizé,
look
like
kinda-
trying to party with college
You
students.
do look kind of like a frat guy, but it doesn't look bad. But forward, you are right. That is not good.
Well, and then like I only want to wear it to keep the sun out, and then you put it on, and there, immediately I'm 10 years older.
Not only are you 10 years older, you spent the last 10 years in a bunker planning for the demise of the United States.
Yeah, I know that I have like big government body energy, but like,
That just means he wants to dominate you like capitalism,
well, hold
ladies.
on, I've got another one. I also look like an older baseball general manager when I put on more like baseball looking caps. Hold on
Oh,
a second.
okay. All right. Yes. I'm here
What
for the
is
variation.
happening?
Sorry. I know this is taking up time. I just needed answers. You look like a tennis ref. And if you did that one backwards, you would look like a yacht bro douche, I think.
Yeah. You are definitely wearing Dickies right now with that hat backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on. No, hold on. This is what I wear at the backyard pool and at the beach. And it's my favorite hat. Hold on a
Okay,
second.
go.
Okay. Over under on what we think this hat is. Do we think this is a bucket hat? Do we think this is
Like a
like a
Jamiroquai?
visor? Like a Jamiroquai giant felt Dr. Seuss hat? A Kangol hat?
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh, Mikey, no.
Mikey, what is on your head right now?
Michael, you look like you've flown us out to Isla Nublar and you've spared no expense on the Chilean sea
Yeah.
bass.
I love it. Yeah.
You look like the villain at the beginning of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And much like that Cross of Coronado, you belong in a museum. This hat makes you look 10 years older.
This hat makes you look 85 years old, sipping a mint julep, talking about how things were good in the before times.
Yeah.
They were.
Not for most people.
No.
All right, take this one.
Why am I taking a screenshot of this? It looks like you were pissed Lincoln got elected.
This is what I wear to play cards on a riverboat.
Yeah, either you were pissed Lincoln got elected or you escaped Cuba with your cigar fortune. Like, it is.
Anyway, I don't wear a lot of hats.
Anyway, we kind of sit with them for a while up in his room after dinner having conversations about like what their plans are. So he's joining the army.
Yeah.
She's going to do zines. His parents are fighting downstairs. And I think this gives her a little bit of an idea of like why he can't put words to it.
Yeah, I think
Like-
so. I think his mom definitely has always had suspicions, and I think she's just
Yes.
gathering evidence throughout this whole sort of movie.
Yeah. And they do lie about fingering each other. But this is also where...
Not Eddie and his mother. Hang on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, let's please give context for what you're talking about.
Eddie and Amber lie about fingering each other. Or rather, Eddie's brother lies for them and they just perpetuate the lie. But
Yes.
upstairs in his room is where she reveals that she has had penetrative sex with a man before.
Yeah, because she wanted to see what all the hubbub was about, or however she says it. But it's clear she was not a fan, which leads me to believe it may have been Kev.
No.
No, there's no way Kev is good, is all I'm saying. That's the joke. Obviously, it's because she's gay.
It's yeah. But also, she says it was someone staying at the caravan park, which to me suggests somebody much older, which made me worry about the consent of that situation.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I didn't think about that, but you're right.
Yeah, but she did not have a good time, which, hey, some people don't like it. That's fine.
Well, some people are gay. Like, she's clearly gay. Like, you know.
That's what I said. Some people don't like it.
Yeah.
It's fine to not like it.
Yeah.
Whatevs. Anyway, they leave at the end of the night, and his parents are watching as they like pretend kiss each other goodnight. And I feel like it's so funny how everyone at school, all the kids are like, but they're so in love, so passionate. And I'm like, kids don't know anything sometimes. Like, so many people in high school thought I was gay, and I'm like, guys, you have no idea how painfully straight I am. But like the same in this movie where they're so in love, and anyone who sees them kissing each other, whatever, would be like, no, that ain't right. Like, that's not.
There was one couple. Okay. There are couples I still have this feeling about out there in the world.
I mean, I'm sure people thought I was gay in high school too, because I'm like not super into sports, was in the bands, and loved musicals. So I get it.
People flat out told me that they thought I was gay in high school. And I'm like, no, I was fat and none of the guys would go out with me. I was miserable.
Yeah.
Like, you don't understand.
Yeah. It was a different kind of nightmare for me.
It was a whole different nightmare.
Yeah. Sorry, Paige.
No, it's okay. Honestly, I did way better.
Yeah.
Dodged bullets, I would say.
Yeah.
Anyway, we cut to kind of a little bit of a montage of them planning what they're going to do when they move to London, practicing walking and dancing. We cut to the school dance where everyone else is wallflowering, but they're dancing because they practiced. We see him trying to do chin-ups, and we cut to him at cadet practice where the drill sergeant guy is like, you could be men or telephonists. So I was like, what if you could pick telephonists? Like, that seems lucrative. Like, it's fine. But as he's doing the cadet exercises, he looks at the guy next to him, kind of breathing heavy. And that we will find out that cadet is also closeted. We just don't know it yet.
I would like the world to know that anytime I exercise, I breathe very heavy, and it has nothing to do with if you're male, if you're female, whatever you identify as. I'm probably not attracted to you. I probably just can't fucking breathe.
Oh, no, I didn't think it. I interpreted this scene very differently. And
I think that he was turned on by that.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Not that he thought that guy was into him, but
I'm just telling you, if it was me next to him at boot camp,
he'd be like, do you need an inhaler?
he would not be. It would not have the sexy music. He'd turn around and it would look like I just got out of a swimming pool because I'd be just sweating and I'd be like, Jesus Christ, this is so hard.
But we cut to her letting a couple out of one of the trailers, and they don't have the money, so they give her 2 hits of ecstasy instead.
Yeah, which we see them take later.
We do see them take it later.
Chekhov's ecstasy.
Chekhov's ecstasy.
Yeah.
Before that, she picks a bouquet and leaves it under the tree where it would be implied that her dad died of suicide.
Yeah.
But we cut to her talking to Eddie and saying, this is the longest I've gone without being bullied since my dad died. And after that happened, there was silence that almost made it worth it. And you're just like, oof.
Yeah.
And
brutal.
she says, people think he was miserable, but he wasn't. He was happy with Mom and I, but this place killed him, is kind of what she says about it.
Yes.
And he says, this is not the same. But I think I'm going to fail the cadets. And she's like, no, you're definitely fascist enough. Like, don't worry about it.
I love that because it's clearly a joke. They're just like ribbing each other like friends do. Like, they clearly have become very close throughout the sort of montage of their quote unquote dating.
Well, and I think it's in some ways because they're the only people they can be honest with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, they are their true selves with that person and with no one else.
Right.
So I'd imagine even finding a safe space like that is so amazing.
It's rare for straight people. It's got to be exponentially more rare for an othered group.
Yes, especially at a time when they were this other. Like, things are a little bit better for that now, in most places at least.
I've been in a lot of situations in my life where I felt very alone in a lot of group situations or hangouts and stuff like that. So, and I am a pretty cisgendered, typically,
Same.
I am like the stereotypical
Yeah.
dude here. Yeah. And I can't imagine what that is like for someone who is othered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they decided to skip school and go to Dublin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is like basically like a small town down the street or whatever.
I don't know what you mean by that.
Yeah, I don't
Ireland
either.
sucks, is all I'm saying. That's all.
Ireland
I'm just
doesn't-
saying.
It doesn't
you know what?
suck. It's a pretty cool place.
Ireland's on my list. Like, I want to go to Ireland, mainly so I can just talk about that to Mikey, because I know how he loves to hear about my international travel.
When I read, because I did not, before I started the movie, know that this was going to be an Irish film. And I was like, oh, Todd and I are going to stunt so hard. Be like, when I was in the UK.
I know.
But I've never been to Ireland. And I mean, I would love to and can't wait to. But
Yeah, I'm down. I have not been to Ireland or Scotland. I have only been to England. When we went, we spent a couple days in London and then a couple days in Stratford. And then we went to Wells where they filmed Hot Fuzz. So like, I've seen a lot of that stuff. I saw Stonehenge.
I didn't see Stonehenge. Breaks my
You
heart.
got to see Stonehenge. It's one of those things that you're like, this is way bigger than I expected it to be. I felt the same way about the Eiffel Tower, where I was like, I did not think it was this big. And then you get to the top of it and you're like, holy shit.
I felt the same thing about the Grand Canyon.
Oh, yeah, the Grand Canyon, too.
Because they say it's a Grand Canyon, and you're like, this is going to be a big canyon. I can't wait. And then you get there, and you're like, holy fucking shit. There's got to be a word better than grand to really name this.
Yes.
But like, we use words like awesome for like, I don't know, a good hot dog. So when you say Grand Canyon, you're like, oh, I'm sure it's grand. We get it, marketing. But like, it actually is grand. Like the definition of grand.
You're like, this is a different planet. What?
It's incredible.
Yeah. Anyway, so they go to Dublin with a bottle of whiskey and a dream. And we have a fun montage of them just getting drunk in an arcade and having a good time together.
Yeah, getting in a photo booth and just like really like hanging out as friends. I loved it.
I loved it too. And they stumble upon a gay club, which it's too early in the night, so it's not super crowded. There's not a ton of people there, but there's a drag queen on stage.
Lip syncing.
Like they do. And Eddie, very drunk, just kind of walks up there and hugs her. And she just says, "You okay, baby gay?" And just like holds him for the rest of the song. And I'm like, who of us hasn't been here and hasn't had to hug a drag queen for our emotional stability?
It is so sweet though. Like, I just feel like in that moment, he's a little drunk, a little inebriated, and he was just like, oh my God, my people exist somewhere in this world. You know, like that sort of a revelation
he goes on to
moment.
do drag. Yes.
He's got a great face for drag.
He's
like,
got
he
the
could be
face for it.
fishy
He's
as
got the
fuck.
cheek bones.
Exactly.
He would serve tilapia. Like, absolutely.
Yeah.
But now Amber meets another young lesbian, Sarah.
Yeah.
Now, Sarah is at Trinity. So I read this as Sarah is maybe 1 to 2 years older than Amber at most.
I got that too. Yeah.
So they are pretty close in age. It's like Amber's a senior and Sarah is like just in college, basically.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
And so they kind of connect. Sarah invites them to the rave that we're going to see later. But Eddie comes over and is almost kind of still pretending a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, because he's like, well, this is my girlfriend and we got to go because we're going to miss the last train. Amber is almost like, well, this is the one place we don't have to pretend. Like, what are you talking about? But it's because he still can't even voice it.
Well, yeah, because I think, and Mikey, he may know, you may be right about that, but he is still telling himself the lie that he is straight.
Yeah. Anyway, they come home. He comes home to his dad sitting on the couch because he and his mom had an argument.
Yeah.
And this is where his dad is like, men weren't allowed to have emotions, but now we can, and starts crying. Which this was one of those scenes where I was like, okay, maybe his dad, like for all the things that his dad has said that would understandably give Eddie pause and make him scared to admit it, I do think his dad loves him.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And so there's a part of me that's like, maybe his dad might have been okay and was just concerned. Like, who knows? We don't ever find out for sure. But I think this is his dad trying to connect with him in a way that's not army or whatever.
I think so too. I think it's his dad saying to him, hey, my dad was very cold and did not talk about emotions. And I want you to feel safe talking about your emotions with me. And I think that all happens because the dad needs someone to talk to about what's going on with his mom.
Yeah.
Just because, and I don't think that his son is the right person, but I think that opened him up a little bit more emotionally so he could have that conversation with his son. And he doesn't talk about the mom stuff with his son. I'm just saying, I think that's why he was in a space where he was like already crying about it, like, anyway, it was almost like explaining to his son why his son is seeing him cry. Like, hey, this is okay for you to see now, which I like. I think that's great. Like, I know from conversations with my dad that his dad was like the same way, very cold, very like sort of a jock guy. And my dad was not. So like they did not get on. My dad loved musicals too. So like his dad did not like my dad, So my dad and I had a similar conversation to this in worse contexts because it was shortly after my brother died.
Yeah, that'll be $125.
Yeah. I mean, as a professional though, you're super fucked up.
Oh, I mean, I'm in therapy, bro. I know.
I'm kidding.
As a professional podcaster, should we add sound effects?
Yeah.
I'm going to add a plop just for the listeners.
A plop.
That's real shitty. Bloop, bloop, bloop.
Just put the music that they put behind people when they talk into the mirror on RuPaul's Drag Race. That's a joke for only the people who watch Drag Race. What?
I'm writing out my emotions in lipstick on a mirror.
Yeah. Well, it's the episode right before somebody gets eliminated where they're just like, I really felt like I only have my chosen family and I'm so glad to have you guys. And they're like, and sashay away.
Yeah.
Anyway, Amber comes home and her mom is like, where the hell were you? You were out drinking. And what would your father think? And she's like, he's not here. He doesn't get to say. Sorry. In a very hurtful way.
She said it. She's like, yeah, he killed himself. He doesn't get to say.
I don't disagree with the sentiment. I hate the way she said it. It was just brutal, like throwing it in her mom's face that her husband killed himself. Like that. It was mean, but like, it's also sort of true.
On this light episode of Romance in the Pod, we can talk about losing a family member to suicide. Creates a lot of complicated emotions, anger being one of them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yes, it probably hurt her mom's feelings, but those are a lot of complex grief emotions, and complex grief sucks.
Yeah.
But also factually true, he does not get a vote because he is not present.
Exactly. But you and I make a quorum, so like we can continue this family.
They need a third so that they can have not only a quorum, but a majority.
Tiebreaker, yeah.
Tiebreaker vote. That's why you got to get a dog.
Very true.
Anyway, so we cut to the next day at school and Kev and all the other guys are like asking Eddie for like tips because he and Amber have been together longer than like anybody. But we catch Eddie watching his friend take his shirt off and Kev catches it too. And so he kind of starts needling him about it. And this is where he's like, I have loads of sex. It was on holiday, Spain, 1993. Ever heard of it? And I'm like, your family vacation? No. What?
It's this conversation that makes me think at this point Kev is a virgin. Because it has very like, you know how boobs feel like a bag of sand type energy?
Very vibes.
You know,
Yeah.
Or like, no, I made out with a girl at camp. She's from Canada or whatever. Like that sort of stuff. As if I would ever make out with someone from Canada.
It's so funny. Like I try to remember how I was like scared to death of sex and women at this age. I mean, I like dated and like kissed, but I was like, all that stuff is scary. And I was just a kid.
Mikey, talk to me about how you were scared of women.
They're scary. Can we agree on this?
Just between you and me, Mikey? Yeah, fully. I'm terrified.
I'm going to say yes so I can use this to my advantage.
I don't want to like touch an animal that I don't understand. You know what I'm saying?
Animal?
A rabid animal. You don't know.
I like that you're like, girls are scary, but the Borg Queen, get on my dick. Like, what?
That actually makes sense to me. Like, yeah. Think of all the programs she knows. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, like this is like when I went to the pediatrician at like 16 and she's like, are you sexually active? And I was like, really trying hard.
Really trying hard.
I was like, I'm trying really hard, but it's just not going anywhere. And she's
Were
like,
you one of those assholes where it's like sex ? And you just wrote yes, please?
I mean, Austin Powers had just come out, so yes.
Yes. Anyway, following Kev's outburst, Eddie asks Amber, like, yo, can I go to London with you? Like, we need to get out, please.
Yes.
But also, can we just tell everyone that we had sex? And she's like, yeah, sure, but also it's going to be tough for us in London.
Yeah, you got to pull your weight or whatever. Yeah, like
Yeah, you're going to have to make your own zine.
yeah, you're going to make your own money or whatever. I mean, they do have very high school level like thoughts on how things will work when they make it to London, which is to say not accurate. It's not accurate to
they
what would
don't
actually
fully
happen.
understand.
Yeah. But in this scene is where she says, I will say that we had sex if you'll go to this thing Sarah invited me to on Saturday.
Right. So before that happens, he has to go into the forest with his dad for extra cadet training, and his dad is the commandant. So he's
Yes.
like a big deal army guy, and Eddie is not cut out for it. But I loved you can make your own clothes if you need to, or his dad like pops out of that bush and he's like, if I wasn't your father, you'd be dead right now. What? Why?
I mean, he literally has a knife at his son's neck when he's saying this.
Yes.
But it's like funny. It's not like scary. It's just very funny. Like
Very funny.
when he says, if you lose your clothes, you can make your own clothes, and he's wearing like
And he's got, like,
what
leaf
looks like a
panties?
leaf diaper. Yeah. It's so funny.
Oh, so funny. But meanwhile, his mom is at home doing laundry and finds his notebook in the trash with tons of drawings of dicks. And then she looks around the room at all the strong men on the wall, puts 2 and 2 together, and is like, yeah. Meanwhile, Amber and Eddie lie about having to go see a George Bernard Shaw play for school so that they can go back to Dublin for that rave. But my favorite is when they're sitting there lying and he just has the play fanned out.
Yes.
Like-
he has the play and then the tickets to the play and then he's
And the
like,
test book.
yeah, he's holding all of that in a fan in front of his face. It's so funny. Like, look, here's all the proof that we definitely are going to this play. We're definitely not going to. Like, it's so funny.
Yes. And Amber's mom says, as long as you're back by midnight. And she's like, I promise. So they leave. And as Amber's grabbing her stuff to go, he says, you have a lovely home. And she says, and now I know you're a liar.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yikes.
Yeah.
But they drive to the rave. They take the ecstasy. And it seems like they're having a great time. She runs into Sarah. They post up on the stairs to kind of talk about like, okay, I don't have a boyfriend. Yes, I am gay. I do like you. And this is where the guy climbs around them on the
It's
stairs.
so
which
funny.
Is
I love it.
funny.
I also really love when they first get to the club, they sit down and they both have drinks. Like they just got there, they're sitting down, and then it slow pushes in on them. And it's like very stroby because it's a rave.
The lighting is so cool.
Yeah. But you also see them go from like
Bored to ecstasy.
too excited. Yeah, like they're like, fuck, this is what I want. And I love that
Yes.
shot, that slow push and that realization that this is their like home kind of place. I love that. I thought that was so good. You could also read that as like the ecstasy starts kicking in.
It kicks in, yeah.
It doesn't hurt.
Yeah. But like the next shot is them like dancing on the floor, like just getting into it. And I loved it. It was great.
But it could be a metaphor because the green light is just like being assimilated into the Borg and then the ecstasy of being part of the collective.
What is a collective if not a chosen family?
Or, you know,
A programmed
not
family.
chosen. Yeah.
You know, I don't think the Borgs are gay though because they're total squares. Anyway, she and Sarah talk on the stairs. The person climbs over them. It's very, very, very funny.
Yeah.
But while that's happening, Eddie is still at the rave and he meets a guy who in the strobe lights has kind of a similar facial structure and features to his teacher. I would
Yes.
say, to the point where for a second I was like, is that the same guy? Is it not? It's not.
It's fully not, but I could definitely understand the confusion.
Yeah, it's a vibe. It's a similar vibe. Let's say that.
Yeah.
They end up making out, and out of the corner of his eye, he sees his cadet friend.
Yeah.
And he pushes the guy off of me. And the guy's like, understandably, like, what's your problem? This is a gay rave. Like, this is what happens. But because he pushes the guy and kind of starts a fight, the bouncer throws him out. She jumps on the bouncer. They run outside. She says sorry to Sarah.
Well, he panics and he's in such fear that his life will be ruined or he'll be hurt. Yeah.
Oh, his facial expressions in the alley afterwards where he's just like, my life is over. Because he's like, that guy's going to tell, whatever. Not even thinking about the fact that it's like, well, that guy was there too.
That guy saw me at a gay rave.
Yes,
right?
which means that he was also at a gay rave, you know? Like,
Yeah.
Oh, you're a Borg too?
You're a Borg. We're both Borgs.
I also think this is him admitting to himself that he is gay.
Yes.
I think that's why.
Yeah.
I think that's what's happening in that alleyway, man. The actor does such a good job in this moment. He's so good.
Yeah, and we cut to them asleep in her car, sleeping off the ecstasy.
Yeah.
They drive home the next day, and of course, all their parents are there. Her mom is furious, and she's like, I don't want your son anywhere near my daughter again. And his dad's like, fine, we don't want your weird daughter near our son. And his mom is like, honestly, she's lovely, but fuck you.
Yeah.
Which I love.
I love like the parents yelling back and forth at the car. It's so funny. And also the mom looks like exactly like Connie Britton to me, like the actress Connie Britton.
She looks a lot like Connie Britton. That's true. So Amber and her mom leave. He's left with his parents, and his mom is not going to punish him because I think his mom has already figured out where they were.
Yeah.
And is just like, I get it. Okay.
Or at least knows they weren't out having sex, you know?
Yeah, she
Right.
knows for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the dad is like, you're not going to punish him. And she just says, when you're not absent 6 months out of the year, you can have a say.
Yeah.
In how I parent the kid, basically.
So fucking brutal.
It is
It's
brutal, man.
brutal,
It's-
but
yeah.
I don't disagree with her.
I mean, it sounds like an extension of the fight they've been having this whole movie.
Yes.
You know, we just don't ever really see them fight. We just see like Eddie's seeing of it, you know? So it's like the end of fights or whatever. But yeah, that's definitely what they're fighting about.
Yeah. So we cut upstairs to Eddie and his brother, and his little brother's like, did you use protection? He's like, lots of it. And he's like, good, because you don't want to get her pregnant and get married and be unhappy and have to get divorced. Like, love is like a flame. It burns you when it's hot. I heard that in a song. Anyway.
It's very funny, yeah.
He goes to talk to Amber, and she's like, my mom will kill you. We got to pump the brakes, basically, like a few days, something like that.
And he's like, well, like 2 days. Like, let's keep it at max 2 days. Like, it's very clear. He's like, I can't survive without this friendship. Please don't, break up with me or whatever.
Right. Well, and not just that, without the cover at school.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But I do think they are like, they're really there for each other in a way that I don't think either of them are used to.
Yes.
And he just very clearly doesn't want to lose that.
Right.
Yeah.
So we cut to school where they are kind of eating separately and people notice. And this is when Kev is like, hang in there. I know you're going through a rough patch. And he's like, but it's sad because you were so in love. And he says, right, babe? And turns to the girl with the 2 threads in the front of her hair. And she just goes, don't call me babe. And he says, totally fair.
Yeah, totally fair. Totally fair.
Totally fair.
But this is them coming out of one of the caravans that they were presumably just boning in.
Oh, no, that's later.
Oh,
This is actually
you're
before
right.
that.
You're right. Because he does more or less the same thing. Oh, he's trying to put his arm around her or something at that point.
Yes. Don't touch me. Totally fair.
Yeah,
Totally fair.
So funny.
Mm-hmm.
But Amber's not in class.
No.
And the teacher's like, Eddie, where's Amber? And he's like, oh, she's not feeling well, period stuff. But we cut to Amber has played hooky and has run away to Dublin to basically see Sarah.
Yeah.
And we get a little bit more information about Sarah at this point where we find out that Sarah's not out to her family either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they are on the train. They're in the beach. They're,
They
kind
have
of
a cute romance
they have a
montage.
very, very cute romance montage.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I don't know if they're still going to be together. It's very young love, but like
Yeah.
you want at least they are happy in this moment. And that is great.
They're not toxic, and that's a great step for
Yeah.
a movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
it for her because this, I think I would assume, is her first like actual lesbian relationship, it seems.
Or her first romantic relationship that she actually enjoys.
Yes. And I think this relationship is what makes her be like, oh, I think I can be happy in Ireland and be myself.
Yeah, I think I can be me here, and it doesn't matter where I am. I just have to be me.
Yeah.
Right.
Meanwhile, Eddie has to go for his cadet test, and he runs into that other cadet, and the other cadets are like, just don't tell anybody. Just don't say anything.
Yeah.
And as they're climbing up a wall, he has his hand on his butt to get him over the wall, and he kicks him in the face to get away from him.
Which was not, I mean, we do know that other character is also gay, but it was like the most straight context in which he touched his butt. Like they were trying to climb a wall in what is more or less ROTC. Like,
yes.
It wasn't like a come on at all. I think it was just a reactionary, like kind of kick to the face because he didn't know how to handle it.
Fear. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But he meets up with her after and is like, I think we should just actually start dating. Like we should permanent beard it. And that's how we survive. And she's just like, no. I want to be able to have relationships with people I love. And I can't do that.
Well, because he's like, we could just like skip the sex part. Like we just won't do the sex part. And she's like, no, but like I need the sex part in my life too. Like that is a requirement for me to be happy.
Yes.
And honestly, for you to be happy too. Like she knows that even though he won't say it, that he's gay.
Yeah, of course. But so, everyone sees it. So she, air quotes, dumped him.
Yeah.
He goes home and he's like, I dumped her. And his brother's like, he didn't dump her. She totally dumped him.
I love that her brother like mouths that, like leans back a little bit like, no, man. He got dumped. He totally got dumped.
He totally got dumped. We cut to Amber's house where she has just finished telling her mom. She's just finished coming out. We catch the very end of it. And she just says, please say something. And she says, I don't know what your father would say. And she says, he's not here.
Yeah,
so,
again, he doesn't really get a say.
Yeah, and her mom just extends a hand and holds it, and I sobbed uncontrollably.
I know, man.
But it is all over school the next day because her mom told the local priest, and he told everybody. So now she is just out, and everyone knows, and there's nothing she can do about it.
Yeah.
And so everyone looks to Eddie and is like, are you okay? Like, everyone wants to know what happened. And so, like, Tracy on the bench just scooting closer.
Everyone thinks you turned her gay.
Everyone thinks you turned her gay, which is an insane thing to say.
It's such a of the time stupid thing to think though. Like
yes. Anyway, he runs into her in the hallway.
Yeah.
And literally pushes her to the ground and calls her a slur, and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because it is absolutely coming from that place of like, you blew my cover.
Yes.
It's brutal. And so the teacher pulls him aside and he's like, what's gotten into you? This is not like you. I understand how you feel. And he's like, you do? And he's like, sure I do. And Eddie leans in and like almost kisses him. And he's like, what? No, what? I know how it feels to be a teenager. I left the door open, right? Like you were not trapped here. Like
you're closer to the door than I am. Like I'm not trapped here in the room.
I'm not
like,
between you and the door. Yeah.
This is the safe space. This is the safe space. It's so
It's the
funny,
safest
man.
space is what he said. It's the safest space. And he's like, I'm engaged with a lady. Like, please don't tell. Oh my God. Well, like, what is happening?
I have a 30-year mortgage with a woman.
Yes. Anyway, on the drive home, ride home on his bike, she throws a rock and is like, what the fuck? And she's like, this wasn't going to last forever. You can come out too.
Yeah.
Like, and he's like, I'd rather not. And she's like, why? And he's like, miserable is better than being gay in his mind. And he's just like,
it's fair. So sad.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal.
I did just look it up though, Paige, because this movie takes place in 1995.
Yes.
It became legal in 93. So it was decriminalized in 93.
Oh, so it's 2 years after it's decriminalized.
It's 2 years after. Yeah, because
the description online says before. So,
does it?
I was going, oh no, I read this wrong. It's fine.
Okay. But they showed the graduating class is 95. And I was like, oh, this is definitely.
It's 95.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I had to look it up because when Mikey said, well, she could live in Ireland happily because she found her community, like, I was like, well, if it's still illegal, like you wouldn't want to live there. But it was decriminalized 2 years before this.
Okay. Yes.
So that makes sense. Yeah.
Right. Anyway, so we cut to Tracy rolls up to Eddie and he's super sad. And he's like, she's the first girl I ever slept with, even though they slept in that car. But,
Goddamn. I love how he's like, I don't think I'll ever love again. And then he kisses her.
Yes, and
It's
she
so
just goes,
funny.
"My God, lesbians are fierce sluts." And I was like, this is such a crazy conversation. But yeah, he kisses, he goes for boobs. She undoes his pants to give him a hand job, and he thinks about his teacher and the guy from the rave.
Yeah.
And finishes.
Yeah.
We cut to Amber's house where she brings Sarah home to meet her mom. And the biggest problem is that it's chicken Kiev and Sarah's a vegetarian, but her mom is happy to meet her and
Yes.
trying to do her best.
Yeah.
And figuring it out.
I love that. I love that for her. Like,
Yes.
not everyone gets that.
Not everyone gets that. We cut to the last day of school, and Kev is like, "Amber, sign my shirt," even though he's been brutally mean to her the entire time.
But that's what I mean. Like, I think he sees himself as their friend.
Yeah.
But he is
Yes.
he's fully their bully. Like,
Yes.
But he just does not have the awareness to know that he's terrible.
Yeah, well, and she signs under, somebody's drawn a giant dick on his back.
Yeah.
And she signs directly under it. And he's like, "It's all in the past now." And she's like, "It was last week." And he says, "Exactly." And he's, "Tracy, Eddie." And Tracy and Eddie are there like as a couple.
Yes.
And she sees him as just like, dude, like, come on. But we cut to her and Sarah post coitus, or at least one round of coitus, we'll say.
Yes.
And we flip as Sarah goes down on her, and she has what I will say is a consensual, safe, pleasant sexual experience, which is great.
Yeah.
So we cut to him drinking out with his friends that he doesn't like from school.
Yes.
And he gets up to get another drink, and the cadet that he kicked in the face is the bartender.
Yeah.
And they kind of sneak away to an alley, and the cadet sits next to him and just says, "Just because we feel this way doesn't mean we have to be, right? Like, we could just move on and have a normal life." And it's just so sad. You're just
It
like,
is.
Yeah.
no.
It is brutal. Yeah.
Ugh.
This movie's like hard to talk about because it's like so sad,
But also
really
so
funny.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very funny. We cut to his parents at home where they're like, "Are we bad parents?" And they're like, "No, but we'll figure this out." And we find out that his
No,
dad
they say,
has turned down his
"Definitely
assignment.
top
Yeah, top
50%.
50%. Not that bad, actually. But so his dad is not going to go away for 6 months, and they're going to stay and figure it out.
Yeah.
While the younger son listens. But we cut to Amber bringing groceries back to her house for her mom, and she overhears Tracy and her real mean friend that I love talking about how Eddie's going away for 6 weeks, and she's just like, "What? When does he leave? Like, he joined the army? Like, what are we doing?" And so
I love that when she's like, "When is he leaving? When is he leaving?" And is it Tracy?
no, it's Tracy's friend whose name I never caught, but she just goes, "Today, sorry."
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was so funny because Tracy clearly doesn't want her to know, but like,
What she says, "He's going today. I mean, none of your business."
yeah,
You're just like, okay.
so funny.
We're on a smoke break.
So I think her name is Janet. I just looked at
Janet.
the IMDb. Yeah.
Janet.
That checks out. I can see that. She's got big Janet energy. Yeah.
And sadly, this is the only credit that actress has.
She's so funny.
Well, and Tracy
She's
too.
like
See,
so
I think
great.
Tracy crushes
Tracy
it.
too.
And Tracy's done other things, but is not like in a bunch of shit, you know? But anyway.
Justice for Janet.
I know. Yeah, we got to get Janet in more shit, guys.
Oh, so funny. Anyway, so Amber rushes home and she finds that he has left her part of their photo booth photos.
Yeah.
In the door of one of the trailers. We cut to him packing, and this is where his mom is like, "You can tell me anything, right? Like,
Yes.
I love you.
It's
I
such a
totally
sweet
know. Just please
Yeah.
tell me."
I was crying this whole time. Like, this scene is so sweet.
Basically, from now through the end of the film.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Here's a. Okay.
I know.
But he's getting ready to go to, they drop him off. He's going away to, it's like a military college, it seems. And she throws a rock and stops him. And he's like, "You got to stop throwing rocks at people."
You're going to give me brain damage if this continues.
she gets him in the shoulder. I'm like, that's going to break his collarbone or something.
They're not small rocks.
No, they're big rocks.
They look like they're
the
about
size of a
3 to 5
softball.
pounds. Yeah.
It's like a shot put to
It's
the
really
head.
the most unrealistic part of the movie because like they're full bricks that she's just junking at this this guy.
Yeah, like if she hit
Yes.
him in his head and he died, she'd go to jail forever for murder. Like that's like how
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
these rocks are. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, she gives him all of her money and she's like, run away. Like, get out.
You're already packed. Literally take this
Yeah.
now and go to London.
Or wherever. Because she's just like, it's enough money to get you pretty much anywhere. So, like, go anywhere. And he finally says it to her that he's gay.
Yeah.
The only time he says it in the movie. Sorry, I'm crying now.
I know it's so sad. It is so
Ugh.
fucking sad.
But he runs. He gets on the train. I am not going to be able to do it.
You want me to do it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's sad.
So he runs and gets on the train and he opens up the box and she put 2 of the little pictures they took together and one of the articles about London.
Yeah.
And then the $2,000 and then it cuts to black and then you can hear him breathe. And then that's the movie there with that.
Yeah.
But the sacrifice and love that she showed towards him and his well-being at the end really touched me and I cried as well. And
Oh,
it was
same.
Oh, yeah.
I was crying the whole time, man. It's so fucking sad. Like,
Yeah.
all she could scrounge together was $2,000. Come on. You're saving a life here,
Well,
Amber.
I tried to think. I was like, how long has she been doing this? And I was like, that's like 200 bone sessions, basically.
Yeah, no, it is. It is 200 bone sessions.
Yeah.
I mean, she's probably been doing this at least a year, probably more.
Yes.
That she has given him all of that money to, I think, save his life, honestly. Because
Yeah,
when we see
agreed.
Tracy and her friend together, when they're sort of letting Amber know where he is, she is like, that scene starts with them talking about how they're going to get married and move in together because she's going to be
Yes.
like an army wife.
She's going to
right?
live on the barracks. Yeah, she's going to be an
Yeah.
army wife. Yeah.
So, like, it's clear that his life is, they're planning on having a life that is not going to make him happy at all.
yeah.
And I think she saves his life. Like, it's
Yeah.
such a good movie, guys. I love
Yeah.
this movie
Oh,
so
it was
much.
good. It was way better. I thought it was going to be like cute, but it was like way better than that. I was like,
Oh,
man,
yes. Yeah. So good.
I would watch it again for sure.
I
Oh, yeah,
100%
absolutely.
will watch this again. I loved it. Thought it was great.
It got me all up in my feels where I was like, oh shit, I can't record a podcast. It'd
Yeah.
be funny.
Oh, yeah. Should we do And That's the
We
Movie?
probably
Yeah,
should, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the movie.
Roll the credits.
So having seen the movie and we talked about the movie, what'd you guys think? We sort of already talked about this, but what'd you guys think? Give me some final thoughts.
I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, I think everyone should watch this movie. This is one of those things, like, I wish this movie had been in theaters, at least here. It may have been internationally, but was not here. But you all should definitely watch this movie. It's amazing. It's not at all what I expected, but I loved it.
Yeah, there was no leprechauns.
But Paige, do you have any fun facts for us?
I do.
Well, here it is with your fun facts. Ireland, fun facts.
So Lola Pettigrew and Fiona O'Shea, who are the 2 leads, became such good friends through the audition for this and the film shoot that they ended up isolating together during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. This is mostly filmed in County Kildare, including the military base, and things are not often filmed there because the military base rarely grants access. And one of the last things to be filmed there was Braveheart in 1995, the
No
year that this
shit.
film is set. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Now, the director, the reason they filmed it there is it's his hometown. And so it included his
Okay.
family as extras as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. The jacket that Eddie wears most of the movie, which is a great jacket.
It is,
like
yeah, it is very of the time, but yeah.
perfect. But that was bought off the rack from a place called Pull and Bear in Dublin, Ireland, despite going for a 90s period setting because the 90s are kind of back.
Yeah.
So they were able to buy it off the rack, which was great.
That's awesome.
Now, originally, the working title for the film was called Beards, but was perfect.
I mean, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. The director originally had planned to make this his first feature film, but financing didn't happen in time, so he shot The Cured for 2017 first and then came back to this. So that means that this movie has been in pre-production for 5+ years before it comes out.
Okay.
So the uniform that his dad wears is actually British camouflaged instead of Irish. Just
Because he's a traitor.
I don't think he is. I think that that's just what they had accessible. But those are your fun facts.
Well, thank you for those fun facts. Let's talk a little bit about box office, and that is to say, I don't have any information on box office because this movie didn't get a theatrical release. At least not in the U.S.
That could probably because it came out in 2020.
I think it
Yeah.
possibly is. It's also a very Irish movie. Like, I bet. Let me check something real quick.
They included a DVD of it in Lucky Charms. It's so Irish.
Okay, so it did get an international release. I don't have budget. I did look for it. I could not find it, but it did make $144,000 internationally, which again would be in places like Ireland. It looks like it was released in Ireland, Australia, Japan, New Zealand, South Korea, and Spain, but did not do very well in any of those places.
Okay.
But again, it was during the pandemic when this movie came out. But that's your box office. So, Mikey, do you want to hit him with that romance scale?
Yeah, the romance scale is a scale of 1 to 10. How romantic we found the film. Paige?
I mean, I feel like it's tough because this is not really a romance movie. I feel like their relationship as friends gets a 10.
Same.
Like,
That's exactly what I was going to say. So it's a 1 on the romance scale, but a 10 on the friendship scale
well,
for sure.
I feel like for her and Sarah, I'll give it a 4 because I feel like it's still really early.
Yeah.
But I do feel like it's very sweet and you love watching them together. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I would give it a 10 on the bromance scale as well, but also probably just a 1 on the romance scale because our two main characters are not romantically interested in each other.
Right.
I'll give it a 3 for her budding relationship with the other girl.
With Sarah,
I thought that was
yeah.
a very sweetly done.
Yeah, I liked it too. Do you guys think they remain friends forever? Like,
For life.
Yes.
yeah, same. But like, instead of doing do we think they're still together? I do think that they are friends for life.
Yes, absolutely.
That's our romance scale for this. Sorry, I picked another movie and they're good at least. So I'm one-upping Todd. That's all I need to do.
I was going to say, at least it was a good movie, unlike when I pick a movie I haven't watched. But speaking of that, this week, Mikey, you made us watch Dating Amber. It's my turn next week. So I like this time period a lot. So I'm going to choose a movie from the 90s that I think was a pretty big hit. I don't really remember, but that movie is featuring Hugh Grant and Julia Roberts. It's a film called Notting Hill.
I just watched Notting Hill for the first time earlier this year and
Did you?
enjoyed it much more than I thought I would.
Is that where she's famous? She's a famous person?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I watched it too. Did we not do that before?
We have not done it before. We did 4 weddings and a funeral.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure the plot is she's a famous actress and he's like a normal guy.
He's a normal
right?
dude.
And they fall in love. That is my recollection of the movie, although I haven't seen it in forever. So your homework for next week is to revisit a 90s movie and then check back next week for that Notting Hill episode.
Yeah.
Yay.
So, Mikey, do you have a review for us to read?
Totally forgot about that.
Well, while you're looking one up, let me tell them how they can have their review read on the podcast, and that's to leave us a 5-star text review, and we'll have Mikey read it for you. So, Mikey, whose review are you going to read this week?
All right. Crystal Math is the person's name.
I love this name.
Finally, rom-coms. Name of the review.
Perfect. All right. Well, what does Crystal Math have to say?
There's a gajillion horror recap podcasts.
There are.
No, they're fully are a shitload. Yeah.
But it's so nice and refreshing to have a hilarious podcast that riffs on problematic plots and rom-coms. Love it. 5 stars.
Awesome. Well,
Yay.
Crystal Math, thank you so much for that 5-star review. But if you want to have Mikey read your 5-star review, leave us a 5-star review. So, yeah, guys, if you like this power throuple that we have here on this podcast, make sure to check out our other podcast, The Horror Virgin. And that is the only other podcast that Mikey and I are on. But Paige gets around, and she is on 2 other podcasts, Black Card Rehab, and Cult Podcast. So guys, definitely check out those because they're amazing. If you want to follow us on social, we are at Romancing the Pod Show
Yes.
on Instagram, and we are at something else on Twitter who I just have never taken the time to learn it.
It's just Romancing Pod Show because they have a character limit and it's show SHO like Showtime.
So guys, check that out as well. And if you want to follow us all individually, Paige is at Rampage Wesley everywhere, including TikTok. Except for Twitter, where she is at Paige Wesley. Mikey is at mrandolph24, and I am at Todd J. Awesome everywhere. And guys, we got a P.O. box. So if you want to send us some love letters or whatever you might send to a P.O. box, it's actually not a P.O. box. It's like a regular street address. It's pretty awesome. It's 6688 Nolensville Road, number 108-34, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027. So send us some stuff.
Yeah.
That's going to be it for us, you guys, on Page.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm Todd.
And you complete us.
To completion.
They're always trying to steal me lucky dick.
I honestly hope people hear that. Like, I hope people wait and just heard you say, me lucky dick. Because it's going to be my ringtone from now on. Bye!